Hey there, Mr. Terry, high school history teacher. Welcome back to another History Teacher X video. All right, today we're back with my friend, Mr. Beat. And his video caught me, especially as an educator, and not just the history stuff that he covers, because it's titled, Teachers, Your Students Are Probably Cheating. And I'll go ahead and speak on behalf of all teachers. We know. So I'm excited to see what Mr. Beat has got going on here, and be sure to give me your feedback too. Our original video is down below. Please support Mr. Beat, sub to his channel, watch the original video so you can get view and your view time. Then comment back. Love to have you as a sub. By the way, enable those notifications. I know you don't like to do a lot of that because you don't want to get flooded with things. But in my channel, it does make a lot of sense because since I post basically every day, if you're not clicking on my videos every day, I may not be showing up in your suggestions feed, which of course is where we mostly check out videos on YouTube. So consider that. All right, here we go. All right, my original gut instinct is that this is probably about AI, and we're all aware of it. If that is the case, I mean, there's always been a lot of different ways that you can cheat, but we know the use of AI is changing the way that we learn. It's changing the way that we work. And as teachers that do literally both, we need to find out ways to both use its benefits, but also try to find ways to remove the negative aspects of it. So let's see what he's got.
I am Mr. Beat. For those who don't know, before I became a full-time content creator, which, wow, was like 4 years ago now. Before that, I was a classroom teacher for 12 years. I taught middle school and high school social studies, everything from economics to geography to American history to world history. That's why I try to keep up on how things are going in the classroom.
We have similar lengths in teaching careers. My first year of teaching was the 2009 and 10 year. So what do we get? 14 years now. So we get it. I feel like I am at the teaching age now where I feel like I've taught long enough where I can compare. I think 12 years is a good enough time to compare like what teaching or what learning was like. You know, I think once you get past that 10-year mark of what it was like at the beginning versus the end, maybe I can chime in on that, but
I recently posted this on social media. I posted the same thing to Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky. It was a response to
his tweet here. Let me show
in the classroom.
So it says, if you're a secondary teacher or higher ed teacher and you are still assigning your students to write essays, why on earth even? Now, it's an interesting thing. Now, I stopped. I actually stopped this at least a couple years ago. Fully taking away all writing assignments done outside of class. Or at least if we do them, it's not a way that it could kind of spoil things for them or not get the point I want across. Now, I teach also AP World History, which is literally a core component is writing. But the essays and stuff that we do, always in class and devoid of external sources to be able to use. And by the way, that's the quickest, easiest fix for a teacher is you don't send home writing assignments. You don't send them home. You do them in class. Anyway, if you need to do writing at all, but you have to, like if you're in, AP. College teachers, same thing. You're going to have to find a way around it. College, I think you're going to have the hardest time dealing with this because it has been such a big thing, writing essays and doing all this and sending them home to do it. Y'all are going to have to change big time. I think it's going to be a harder change for those guys than for us in the K-12 still.
I posted this on social media. I posted the same thing to Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky. Yeah. It was a response to the fact that so many students are now using AI to write their essays for them. Sure. The most reasonable responses were actually on Twitter. Usually that's not the case.
Okay, I'm seeing this guy, this Kobe Claypool says the AI issue can be solved by having students handwrite essays in class. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing. So they have to actually know those. In-person essays should still be fine. Probably as long as AI isn't feeding answers into your AirPod, I suppose. Yeah. Our school, they did this about October. It was actually, we came back from our fall break and our board, district board said no more devices other than school approved and teacher instructed Chromebooks. You can't have the sight of a phone is taken away completely. Can't have AirPods in or anything like that. So that has been a good thing. Now we are a 1-to-1 ratio of Chromebooks to students, but we also have access to what sites and stuff they can pull up. I can easily just, okay, we're writing in Canvas. Like Canvas is something I use. And then they can't access anything else but that. And that's, pretty easy to be able to do it that way. So that is, all those things have to kind of come together there. There is only, even if I approve it as a teacher and say we're going to do this as an assignment, there's only one AI service that even will pull up on our district network, and it's School AI, if you've heard of that. And the reason they do that is, as a teacher, you can program what the AI will be able to give to students. So it may not, if they're doing an assignment and you actually want them to use it, you can make it not just give the answers, but like maybe give them hints or something like that. And I do get that as being something, useful that way. So
case. That's where most people understood the context that it's really easy for students to cheat by using AI to write their essays for them, and teachers don't even realize it. On Threads, actually, I got a lot of teachers
we know now, but yeah,
calling me an idiot, which was disheartening because they were assuming that...
I do want to read. I hope you guys are cool with me reading these because I am very interested. Critical thinking skills are sorely lacking in our society as evidenced by your stupid post. I hate comments like this, this first one here, because it has no substance to it. Like, why? What is the evidence? Whatever. What is the critical thinking skill? Like, maybe I'm missing other part of a conversation. Surely this question needing to be asked is more of an issue than the essay writing in the question. No, this person doesn't understand, or they're not in education. It's required. I teach research and composition. Writing is an important skill. Yeah, sure. Because an essay teaches you how to look at evidence, develop a logical opinion, form a claim based on an opinion, and defend it from a neutral perspective. We can also identify the other side of the opinion and how the evidence supports it and why this isn't sufficient for changing our mind in this case. These are all incredibly important skills to develop now more than ever. Yeah, what Mr. Beat, though, I can already tell is not saying is like, just don't have kids write anymore. That's not the case at all, but there's a way to do it right. And there's a way that it has been dealt with wrong. So these are people that are, I think, maybe avoiding the deeper point of this. So I don't know, maybe we have to be clear with our social media posts.
Calling me an idiot, which was disheartening because they were assuming that I didn't like essays at all. They were like, Of course writing essays is important because they help develop critical thinking skills. Duh. So apparently they had no clue about the context. So I added a link to the article that inspired this post, an article by James Walsh, featured in New York Magazine, called Everyone is Cheating Their Way Through College. It talks about how college students are now using AI to write their essays for them.
I have some college, professor type friends, and they're having a hard time dealing with it because it completely changes what has been going on forever. College and general like way of instruction in college is so slow to change. It's way slower to change than in any kind of grade school, and their model is going to have to change a lot. It's going to have to. So we'll see.
Heck, the article even pointed out how many professors are using AI to grade them. So basically, you have robots turning in assignments and then robots grading them. Two robots talking to each other. That's what college is all about. Yeah, it's a disturbing article and a disturbing trend, but I think the most astounding thing that I learned after posting that on social media wasn't in the article itself. Much of what was in the article I was already at least aware of. No, what I learned was in the responses by teachers. Responses on Threads by teachers saying students should still be able to turn essays in because AI isn't that good yet, or there are tools that...
Yeah, but that is true. Some of it's not great, mostly for like feedback purposes. What AI can be used at, I guess if you are a teacher, is like a second pair of eyes to look at maybe specific details you could miss. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's not, at least right now, as good as a replacement for a trained reader of that content. Now there's so many great uses for AI, especially to help you as a writer. There's a lot of tips you can have and get it cleaned up, but it's going to be, of course, important as the writer itself to not have it be like a crutch, but as like a teaching aid of some kind. You can do that again if we are going to be assessed on our writing skills and not just the essay. That's something that's going to be important. So again, if you're creating scenarios where students aren't going to be able to use those, essays and then be graded on that, that's fine. And a few years ago when this was coming out too, and I remember talking to my admin about that, about the AI situation, they were already trying to get ahead of it and talk about it. Like, okay, let's say you do have you do want to send home maybe it's a research paper, an essay, or whatever it is, and then have them come back and turn that in. But there's other things that you can have them do with that. So, for example, at the base, have them highlight important details. That could be something. And then, of course, the dreaded present it back to you. So, a lot of students, and it's increasingly become more and more problematic as teachers to require presentations publicly. It's amazing how many kids I have that are part of their 504s or IEPs are like, hey, they don't have to speak in front of the class. But then for every one of those, there's about 4 more kids that just don't want to do it anyways. It might not be in their plan, but would probably rather just fail it than do it. So, are you going to have more like one-on-one discussions with them? It's like, okay, now let's have you talk to me about your research paper, right? And they can maybe have it there or whatever and highlight some of those points. And then it becomes very hard. Like, how do you find the time to do that? If you have a class like mine that pushes up to 40 kids in a classroom, how can I find the time to have like 5 minutes per kid? You know what I mean? While being able to like manage the classroom, that becomes, a little bit difficult that way.
I can fight AI. Oh, AI isn't that good yet, or there are tools that can fight AI. Oh, honey,
Sure.
There are not. There are not.
Oh, wait.
There are
mean
no
that? Okay.
effective AI detectors, as that article I shared even pointed out. AI.
Canvas has some in there. It's just it's more like a plagiarism detector though. It started with that where it can it just searches the web. And if you see this amount of text, it'll tie you to some original article. AI can be a little bit different. And it's funny. Have you guys ever seen the prompts that I've seen college professors do this where they'll put something in the prompt that if you do put an AI, your essay is going to come out all crappy, especially if you didn't look at the prompt very closely. Those are kind of funny there. Oh, one of the other benefits I wanted to just plug real quick that you can have, especially as a writer too, is like an AP for my class, for example, you got to practice, right? You got to practice writing, and it's impossible like as a teacher to be able to do like you only have so many hours in a day of writing so many essays. So you're gonna assign essays. You're gonna have a good amount of them throughout the year, and you're gonna give feedback. What about that kid that still needs to do more and wants to do more? One thing is you can have, and it depends on the AI. There's some AIs that are better at this, especially if you have a specific type of rubrics like with AP. You can have them type it in for practice, and the AI will give you feedback. It's never that good. What I've actually found is that AIs are a lot easier on grading than teachers are, and you can get this like false sense of like how good you are at writing. So again, there's some benefits because it's better than not doing anything. But we'll see kind of again how it goes. Now it's going to be this battle. We're gonna have this never-ending battle of AI detection versus overcoming AI detection, and it becomes this like on top of each other. And they're already doing that with things with like Canvas. With what's that one? I heard about some program. There's a program out there that can basically just like be running pretty much on your computer, and anything that pops up on Canvas, it will just like if it's a math problem, will just like calculate it for you. That's always going to be the forever back and forth battle there. But the biggest thing is, are teachers going to be able to have control of what students can access in their classroom? That's going to be probably the biggest thing, right?
AI is only getting better and better, and most students are getting good at just telling AI to make it look like they actually wrote it. So like typing in a prompt saying, write an essay about the Cold War, but make it look like an 8th grader wrote it, for example. Look, I know ChatGPT has only been around for about 2.5 years now, but I think it's time for teachers to stop being so naive when it comes to this stuff. If a student does not want to write, they will absolutely use ChatGPT to write for them, or at least to aid them. That's not even debatable at this point. Stop letting students turn in essays.
Stop letting them turn in essays.
Now, before you get all angry here.
No, I agree. Or have it a very minimal thing to go along with something else. That's what I've done.
Please remember that this doesn't mean that we stop teaching kids how to write.
Correct.
We absolutely still need to teach them how to write. So what should teachers do instead? Well, I really don't know for sure. I've been thinking about this for a while now, and I still haven't figured it out. Maybe go back to pencil and paper and just have them write essays in class. Everything has to be done in class. I mean, I think back.
What's interesting is even students in a lot of ways, especially the ones that I think are a lot more interested in learning, are actually craving the tactical learning again. You know, the COVID thing was like, everyone was like, oh, cool. All right, we're going to do everything digitally. It's going to be like great or something like that, or easier. And then it's amazing how like within a year or two after that, like when we started getting back, kids were tired of it. They're like, all my teachers now just use it. My vision's getting broken. And there are plenty of academic studies that talk about tactile learning, like literally physically writing is beneficial for learning because it forces you to analyze the thing before you write it. You have to process it even more than typing. Typing can be very much more, you could pretty much more like have a blank stare in a lot of ways, but you force yourself to confront the thing that you are trying to assess. Yeah, there's studies about it. So I'm wondering if we're going to have this pendulum swing back a lot further. You know, it's gone one way really hard with the electronic and e-learning, and then boom, coming back. I don't know how many students we've had too that from the COVID era were like, oh, I want to do online school now. But let's remember the COVID learning online is not what a real online school would be like. It's a lot more rigorous. You know, that year or two, depending on your school district, when we were going online was mostly just an assignment dump into whatever you're using, Google Classroom, Canvas or something. And then it comes very different. And a lot of those students, they struggled actually in a real online setting, came back to the classroom, and a lot of them enjoyed that more.
To be done in class. I mean, I think back to when calculators were first introduced.
Right.
Before calculators, we had to write everything out. So maybe just going back to that, because, you know, we have elementary school kids do that with mathematics these days. But I don't know. Let's go ahead and let's see here.
Now, I'm not a math teacher. At what point of math, like as we go from learning our, you know, addition and like times tables and stuff, do you think is the point where using a calculator is not defeating the learning process? I don't know, like what stage of math when you get to like trigonometry, calculus or something, at that point where it's like, yeah, we really need to use that and it's okay. It's not going to stunt their growth.
I'm going to search online and see if I can find an answer to this problem.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Number one, we need to redefine the essay process. We need to emphasize process over product.
I like that. Thinking skills. Awesome. Luckily, like my AP curriculum does that. It's like, hey, you have to form an argument. You have to use certain pieces of evidence. You got to do all these things. And that's where the difference of like, I think an essay versus like a research paper is. Like research papers, we don't have to do that much of it anymore. You know what I mean? Although that is becoming problematic because now we're just relying on whatever our AI or whatever we Google coming up without trying to challenge it with multiple sources, you know?
Break writing into stages, require brainstorming notes, outlines, annotated sources, drafts with peer feedback, reflections, use in-class writing checkpoints, ask for writing journals. Number two, we need to teach AI as a tool, not as a crutch.
But easier said than done.
Incorporate AI into the curriculum. Just embrace it. Ask students to revise or fact-check AI-generated drafts. Show how nuanced, personal,
That's a good thing. If you are going to do a research, you know, a paper or something, you have to force like an assessment of the sources in some way. Because I've kind of given up on out-of-class research projects for the most part. Or if I am, it's going to be what I have done is given them a source. And especially if it's something very broad, it's not going to be argumentative and and that source is accessed in class, you know.
Or emotional writing often outperforms generated drafts. Show how nuanced, personal, or emotional writing often outperforms generic AI responses. And number three, if we're going to have essays, change the essay prompts to be AI.
So this is what I have heard happening, changing essay prompts to be AI resistance. That is a temporary helping thing that will not be an issue. AI detection and AIs themselves are going to get right past that. So
resistance. Now, this is the most challenging thing here. But instead of saying like, what caused the Civil War? Instead say, how has your understanding of freedom evolved this semester? And also please reference.
Yeah, but is that okay? I mean, that is better. I guess an AI could, I guess I never tested that. Do you think that would work? You guys that have, yes, I'm not going to turn you in for cheating, but what do you think?
Evolved this semester. And also please reference specific class texts. What was the most challenging part of your research? How did you solve it?
That is something I've done when students want to get points back on something. I allow a process to do that, but you got to go do work and you have to cite our specific sources that we use, and those things need to align for it to count. So use authentic assessments. So better assessments. Okay.
Number 4, using authentic assessments. So moving beyond essays, maybe having oral defenses, multimodal assignments, collaborative writing. Number 5,
Right.
foster.
Yeah. No, that's good too. You know what I'm doing more now of is creative things. Make me a thing. An AI can't make you a 3D created something or other, right? I like to give kids a lot of choice with when I do want them to do research, but like make me something. And sometimes I keep it that vague. Like one thing could be like a poster. Okay, well then AI can't make the poster. Okay, maybe it can you'll get you some of the details you make on a poster, but you need to get illustrations. You need to pick which materials or which information is important to have in your like poster. And then of course you got to give them a rubric about what to expect for that too. Or I'd like to open up too into building things. I don't know if you'd consider like 3D modeling to basically be 3-dimensional AI, but at least it's something you had to go into. It's intuitive. You create that. Again, if you're researching about knights, okay, cool. How about you make me some like fake knight armor or something? Whatever. Like get like more hands-on that way. I do like that. And that's something I've replaced a lot of classic research from, is doing that.
Having oral defenses, multimodal assignments, collaborative writing. Number 5, fostering a culture of integrity and curiosity. Students cheat when they feel pressured or disconnected. Discuss why writing matters. Make time for passion projects. Model.
That's the this is what the admin would of course tell you, is to try to foster the culture of integrity, curiosity, that you can successfully, I guess, convince all kids about the inherent benefits of this, of these types of research and skills, of integrity and curiosity. But in the end, getting that grade is going to suffice everything else. It's a little bit of wishful thinking.
Fostering a culture of integrity and curiosity.
You know what the funny thing is too, though, is you can ask somebody like that does use, AI as like a crutch, and if you press it to them, like, is that making us like dumber or something? They'll all say yes. They're like, yeah. Same thing about if you talk about how, like, if you even talk to your high schools, if you're talking to high school students, like, is things like TikTok and other media, I guess YouTube, what you're watching here, like, is it like brain rot? It gets you addicted and it gives you that dopamine and you end up doom scrolling. And they'll all admit that, yeah, it's not good for them. They'll all admit it. Kids are not in denial. They actually see it, at least by the time they become older.
Students cheat when they feel pressured or disconnected. Discuss why writing matters. Make time for passion projects. Model your own writing. And finally, number 6.
That's true. That's true. Model your own writing. I could definitely do that better. I guess it becomes, yeah. No, you're right. Use detection judiciously, but don't rely on it. Okay.
Detection judiciously, but don't rely on it. Use them as conversation starters, not punitive measures. If you suspect AI use, ask the student to walk you through their process. Trust building goes further than tech policing. Here's a final thought.
One thing I kind of can struggle with is like, okay, even if it's like a video or something I'm making where I have the research, I have the data, but like I have it in front of me. Okay, here's this subject from history. Here's some stats or something like that. But like being able to present it in a more creative way, like what's another way I guess I could say this type of thing to make it more engaging? That's become a big thing that I know with like content creators we use. Now there's plenty of the just straight up AI to AI would, but like if you want to gather information and be able to present it in a way that might be a little more interesting, that could be a useful thing. And I know that can potentially help me at times, but then also make it fit your own personality and not have it, a step out. So getting ideas for things that you already know or have about to be able to present them, I think that can be a very useful thing with AI help.
The presence of AI in education is not the end of writing instruction, it's a turning point. We have a chance to reimagine how we teach writing.
I don't think I'm a
more
great
reflective,
writer,
more
to be honest.
process-based, and more...
I like to write, but like have it in this like engaging way. I'm a better speaker than I am a writer. I know a lot of people are the opposite, especially with content. You know, I can rattle on like I do in videos way better than I could prepare something in writing. And I know a lot of content creators are the exact opposite. They've got to have a script. They've got to do this. And I'm like the opposite. So I have a harder time writing than presenting, or writing than, presenting it.
Human. Rather than resist, imagine how we teach writing. More reflective, more process-based, and more human. Rather than resisting AI blindly, the future lies in teaching students to use it responsibly, critically, and ethically, just like every other tool. By the way, the last portion of this video was written completely by AI.
That's where it's like, hey, if it's just like, hey, give me a presentation on the dangers of AI in the classroom, that's so much different than like, okay, I've done the research, I've got information, now help me maybe create a script or like create, I guess, a better writing form, more engaging format that way. That's where it becomes different. But that's where us as the person using it, hopefully we can be mature about it.
That was actually pretty good advice.
You know, this would be a fun future stream I could get going. You know, Mr. Beat's out of the classroom now, but he's still very fresh with it, and he sees what's going on. He has kids, you know, in school. But then adding some of the other teachers I know that still teach or are still been in teaching, maybe like JD from History Underground, maybe crossing the aisle into other areas, maybe with like Planet Peterson, who does science, or get some other teachers involved and if you guys would like kind of like a live stream where we get some people together, definitely something we could do and talk about it. If that's something you'd like to see as teachers, and for you guys as like a chat to be a part of and kind of talk about the role of AI for you, like as students, and then maybe with our perspective as teachers, I think that could be something really interesting. So anyway, final thoughts. So to kind of sum it up, my solution right now and my suggestion is any type of assessed writing needs to be done in class, void of those aids. You know, if they're using whatever information, I guess, to prep, to practice, gather information, ideas, I mean, you can't stop that. But like the actual assessing part of it, they have to know how to do the things, and not even just know the content, but know the skills involved. So rubric types of writing. And you can do this in so many different classes, not just with like social studies, but having rubrics as far as like, okay, what do you need to do? You need to be able to argue. You need to bring up counterpoints. You need to bring multiple lines of evidence. You need to analyze the sources for bias, you know, like all those types of things. Those are skills that you can do, and practicing and doing those outside of the classroom is great. It's fine. I guess it's going to be part of the preparation. So that is the most immediate fix there. We'll see what happens. If you all that are in college right now, I mean, you can kind of let us know about how much of a problem it is. I know just from talking to professors, it becomes very difficult. And yeah, it's going to become even more difficult for them to, especially if we as like high school teachers and junior high teachers don't address this now, then they're going to take that into college. And talking to my college professor friends, they're saying like kids right now are just absolutely terrible writers. And it's because, you know, kids have been able to get into, you know, ahead of the curve in front of most of their teachers, where the most core important parts of writing are now something you don't even have to do on your own anymore, and you can't do it for yourself. But now you have to catch up. So like, and then of course, me as like a high school teacher, I have to rely on the junior high, teachers to be able to get them to starting these processes. And of course, it goes back to elementary school. Right? We're all like connected this way, but I know who's feeling it hard right now. Of course, we have it in high school, but I think we have a better way of controlling that than the universities. So we'll see what happens with them. And I think we should communicate a lot more. We don't communicate with high school teachers and college professors like at all, like none, like not in a professional basis there. You know, as high school teachers, we coordinate with junior highs quite a bit, but I think that's a step that probably needs to happen. I think we could offer a lot more insight to professors in college because we're dealing with that right now, and there will be the next ones to deal with it. So anyway, Let me know what you guys think about AI just in education and its use. I told you the ways that I like it, even for myself or as a teacher to help with certain things. And let me know what you think down below. All right. See ya.